So I have a pair of Doc Martens that I bought to decorate. I mean, I wear them. Those and a pair of running shoes, which have not been running for a very long time, are the two pairs of shoes that I wear most often. But I bought the Docs to play with visually, to paint on, to letter. I'm happy with how they came out. Or how they've come out so far. It's kind of a work in progress. I don't know if they're ever going to be done. I want the Citrus MacBook Neo. I want it to paint. I want it to sticker. I want to Keith Haring that thing. It screams for black. It is my sincere hope that I get over this. I don't need a computer that is less powerful than the computer I have to paint on. Do I?
This is macOS Ken.
MacBook Neo could reshape the laptop space. One of them is kinda sold out. And a little bit of Apple TV talk. It is Friday, the 6th of March, 2026. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by NordLayer. Toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code macOSken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more in that your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Seeing a positive trend for Apple in the introduction of MacBook Neo is TrendForce. The market tracker issued a press release Thursday in response to Apple's cute little MacBook. Yes, it is. Who's a cute MacBook? Who's a cute MacBook? Sorry. The market tracker issued a release Thursday in response to Apple's low-cost laptop introduction. As a reminder, the memory crunch and associated memory price increases have firms like TrendForce seeing a drop in laptop shipments this year. They're seeing shipment declines of a little over 9% this year versus last, assuming things don't get worse, which they certainly could. That's got most PC makers streamlining product lines, aka reducing the number of models they offer. Then along comes Apple increasing or fattening its laptop line. TrendForce says the new model targets the $500 to $800 mainstream segment, which is commonly associated with education and general productivity notebooks. This highlights Apple's clear ambition to broaden its product lineup and expand its ecosystem reach. While TrendForce expects the whole of the laptop segment to drop a little over 9% this year, the firm expects Apple notebook shipments to grow a little under 8%, 7.7% to be precise. Shipments of the MacBook Neo alone could reach 4 million to 5 million units, according to TrendForce, depending on consumer acceptance of its 8GB memory configuration. But this is not just an Apple story in the firm's estimation. Quoting the release again, if the MacBook Neo successfully penetrates the entry-level segment, it could not only offset the broader industry downturn, but also reshape the pricing structure and competitive landscape of the global notebook market. Plus, you know that whole thing about people in Apple's ecosystem pretty much staying there once they're in it? By entering the entry-level segment, TrendForce says Apple can not only fill a key pricing gap, but also establish brand loyalty among students and early career professionals at an earlier stage. You know, this story is so crazy, they could have called the thing MacBook Loco, and it would have been cool. Crazy cool. TrendForce wasn't the only industry tracker to react to MacBook Neo. Apple 3.0 ran reactions to Apple's low-cost laptop from a few fronts, including analysts at IDC. That firm's Nabila Popal says with the launch, Apple has strategically expanded the Mac's total addressable market while reinforcing its position in price-sensitive institutional channels. In an environment defined by memory constraints and rising component costs, This pricing signals structural supply chain leverage and silicon-driven cost efficiency. While competitors navigate margin pressure, Apple is using operational scale as an offensive tool to capture incremental share in a tightening PC market. IDC's Jitesh Abrani, Apple's new MacBook Neo exploits the perfect moment in the PC industry. While most PC vendors are stuck juggling a brutal memory supply crunch that's inflating costs and squeezing margins, Apple shows up with a tightly integrated design, substantial ecosystem advantage, and aggressive pricing that feels defiant. Apple's scale and pricing is something other PC vendors will struggle to match, and this should allow Apple to gain market share throughout 2026. While no price target seemed to have moved, a couple of financial folk did have pairs of pennies to throw in as well. Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani says MacBook Neo was the headline of Apple's big week of product announcements. According to AdRock, Neo helps fill the gap in Apple's MacBook portfolio, allowing Apple to more broadly target the education market and price-sensitive consumers. In addition, Neo reinforces Apple's flywheel effect by bringing more price-sensitive consumers into the Mac ecosystem, deepening cross-device engagement through iPhone integration features like Handoff that could ultimately drive incremental hardware and services monetization. Holy cow! Everything has a halo, giving everything a halo effect. Mr. Daryanani has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $330. Thinking similarly was Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives. With nearly half of Mac buyers still new to the platform, writes the analyst, we believe this will provide incremental upside to Mac estimates as it addresses all consumers looking to upgrade their laptops. Mr. Ives has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $350. I joked about Apple calling the low-cost laptop MacBook Loco, but where'd they get that Neo name? According to Mac Rumors, he just thought it sounded cool. Asked about the name, Colleen Novielli, a Mac product marketing director, said the company wanted something that felt fun and friendly and fresh, and felt like it really suited the spirit of this product. I will say, it has had me listening to the soundtrack to The Matrix a lot this week, which in retrospect should have been called Songs of Woe. Here's something you probably never thought you'd hear again, if you thought about it at all. Are these things going to sell out? With 4 colors and 2 configurations each, one has actually started slipping past release date. As of Thursday afternoon, says a piece from 9 to 5 Mac, 7 of the 8 configurations are still available for pre-order with delivery promised on Wednesday, the 11th of March, which is the official release date. The first configuration to slip past the day 1 release is the blush color of the base model. Pretend buying one myself, Apple's site says ordering yesterday would have gotten me the 256GB pink Neo delivered between the 13th of March and the 20th. That said, I could order it yesterday and still pick it up at my nearest Apple store on the 11th of March. You know, I can't help thinking that these people are missing the artistic possibilities inherent in the Citrus model, which I am totally not going to buy. Am I? More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, NordLayer, a toggle-ready network security platform built for today's business. The decisions you make for your business are important. That said, they do not have to be complicated. If you're looking to secure your business, you can go with a trusted name like Nord, known for years for their consumer VPN. They brought that trust and know-how to NordLayer, combining VPN, access control, and threat protection for businesses in a range of sizes, from those with a few employees to those with more than 100. It works with the hardware you already have, iOS, Mac, Windows, Linux, Android, or combination of all of that. And they partnered with CrowdStrike to bring Falcon endpoint protection to small and mid-sized businesses. They're not just ready to protect you, though. They're ready to help. NordLayer offers step-by-step onboarding and 24/7 support. All of that starting at just $8 per user per month, though they do have a special offer for macOS Ken listeners. You can get up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans plus 10% on top with offer code macOSken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. Try it risk-free with their 14-day money-back guarantee. NordLayer. Toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code macOSken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. Apple's, quote, week, unquote, of new hardware has prompted some OS updates. Well, new hardware plus bugs. Mac Rumors ran a couple of updated OS pieces on Wednesday. One spread word of iOS and iPadOS 26.3.1, while the other told of macOS Tahoe 26.3.1. Each is said by each piece to add support for the new Studio Display and Studio Display XDR. Additionally, the iOS and iPadOS updates include unspecified bug fixes. Those new displays, by the way, also get a software update. That is said by Mac Rumors to be out already, and presumably for people who have review units. As for everybody else, the piece says Studio Display Firmware 26.3 is only for the new Studio Display options, and it is not available on the older model. The displays will be out next week, which means a day one update for people who buy them. Continuing with its weird act, there was one public OS beta on Wednesday, and you'll never guess which one it was. 9to5Mac says Apple on Wednesday seeded the third beta of macOS 26.4 to public testers. If you want to play Apple's pre-game games, public beta program info is available at beta.apple.com. Now here's where it gets hairy. I'm pointing at my chin. Here's where it gets confusing. On Thursday, Mac Rumors ran a piece that had Apple seeding revised third betas of iOS and iPadOS 26.4 as well as watchOS 26.4. Not fourth betas, revised third betas. For iOS and iPadOS, there were also said to be new betas for public testers. Where does all of this leave us? I don't even know anymore. It is confusing. Thankfully, it's also not important. If you're a developer or public tester and you grab the latest available betas, you will have the latest available betas. Dismissed. Actually, there's still a little bit more here. We'll wrap the day with TV news because why not? Billy Zane of Titanic and Tombstone fame is getting on the stick. That is to say, he is joining the cast of the feel-good Apple TV golf comedy, Stick. The piece from Deadline says he'll be part of the recurring cast. He'll join series lead Owen Wilson, along with Mark Maron, Mariana Trevino, Lily Kay, Timothy Oliphant, and Judy Greer. The report says Oliphant and Greer were recently up to series regulars for Season 2. No word on when that second season will hit the stream. The Hunt has started rather quietly on Apple TV. You remember this one? French language series that was billed as original, turned out to have been plagiarized, got pulled from Apple's schedule until rights could be secured. Kind of seems like Apple would like to forget about it, but they've already paid for it, so it's on. Well, the first 2 episodes are on anyway. New episodes will hit each Wednesday until the hunt is over. And finally today, the races are on, or will be tomorrow. As anticipated as the second coming of the great prophet Zarquan, Apple TV's Formula One programming is finally set to arrive. A 9 to 5 Mac blurb says the Formula One 2026 season kicks off on the 7th of March with the Australian Grand Prix. Apple TV subscribers in the US will get full access to all F1 races, plus bonus coverage and more, all at no additional cost. There's a special section for it on the Apple TV app, and I am really excited to have this be a thing that has happened instead of a thing that's gonna happen. I think that means we mostly get to stop talking about it now. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by NordLayer, toggle-ready network security built for your business. Get savings on top of savings with offer code macOSken-10-NordLayer at nordlayer.com/macOSken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSken at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.